Okay guys, you didn't think I was going to let Huron Blackheart slide on by without doing a video for him. The model is far too cool to do that. So I have gotten the rest of the miniatures in this box set completely built, and Huron Blackheart will be the miniature of the day, and I'm very excited to get him built and painted. I was nearly going to do the crazy apothecary guy. He's awesome, and he might be in the video I do next in this box set. If there is hunger for more, if you guys want me to do more members of Huron Blackheart's retinue, please let me know in the comments below. The apothecary is the next one I will do, or maybe the weird crocodile dude, but I really like the apothecary. Before I get into the video, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone that, as usual, supports the channel, either by watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, or going the extra mile and signing up to the Patreon. Obviously, there's a million different reasons to be involved with Patreon, but the biggest one that people seem to enjoy is, of course, the monthly giveaways. This month is, of course, no different. I'm giving away this box set to one lucky patron this month. So if you want to be in a chance of getting started with a 1,000 Suns army, then check out the link below and get involved at any tier, and you will be automatically entered. Okay, without further ado, let's dive in and get Huron Blackheart himself painted up. Okay, so this is Huron Blackheart. He's obviously a beautiful miniature. I do like the upscaled kind of nature of some of the larger sculpts they've done for the Chaos Space Marines. You know, obviously Abaddon is quite large, Typhus is quite large, Lucius the Eternal is quite large. I quite like them standing out on the battlefield. I'm just going to have a little tiny caveat to this video right now. I do not know what happened, but a lot of the footage I had to cut out because for some reason it would not focus on the miniature, and there was so much blurred footage. I was so annoyed trying to get enough useful footage together in order to present this video to you guys. So I do apologize if it pops in and out at any kind of key moments. I'll try and figure that out and make sure it doesn't happen in any future videos. So I got the model sprayed black, and then I gave it a nice coat of grey sear, and then I hit all of the armor with a nice coat of Flesh Terror's red contrast. Now, normally with the red Corsairs, they kind of have a mix of red and black panels on their armor, and it seems to be the higher rank you are, the more red you have, and the less black you have on your flat armor panels. And obviously, Huron Blackheart being the main man, the boss, all his armor panels are basically red. We did then move to some black for some kind of internal kind of circuitry and some of the soft seals, and also his cape and his loincloth got done in black as well. Agros Dunes was then used for his awesome big pelt across his back. I do like the pelts that they've seemed to have given the Corsairs. Obviously, they're like a raiding fleet, and it looks so good on Space Wolves, and it suits the kind of marauder nature of the Chaos Renegades as well, a lot more than like Chaos Space Marines. Chaos Renegades, I think it suits them down to the ground, so I'm very happy with that. Iron Wires, which is a color I rarely use, so much so that I didn't even think about using it when I did the actual Reavers for the Red Corsairs. For their armor trim, they have basically like a black silver trim, and I just did lead belcher and kind of washed it down, forgetting that Iron Warrior existed. I remember this time, and as you can see, it is the perfect color for the trim on these guys. So if you are watching this and you have watched my previous video, I would substitute in that previous color for this, and it does work a treat. We do then go in with lead belcher for some of the other key bits. So any of the internals, like this guy has a bionic arm and a bionic leg, and that's visible through the back of his power armor. Sometimes to get those bits done with lead belcher, and obviously the blade of his axe and the claws of his talon and stuff like that. Retributor armor gold was then used for all trim. He's got a stunning amount of trim on his, obviously, his shoulder pad, and then he's got this awesome big, it's kind of like a trophy rack, but it's like a giant iron halo. Rattling Grime, another kind of underutilized shade, was just used for the hilt of his axe. It was quite a bizarre color. If you do look at the box art for him, you can see that it's an odd color, like a blacky brown. Balthazar Gold was then brought in because obviously he's got a beautiful flamer built into his power claw. So parts of that are going to be brass, the kind of ejection port for all of the fumes, and obviously the spout that actually spews the flamer. I didn't want to do that in gold, I want to do it in brass. So Balthazar Gold is a great base coat for that. Guilliman Flesh for the skin on his face. Not that there's a lot of skin left. Obviously this guy, he took a Melt-a-Blast to his face. Original name Heft Huron. And a Meltagun basically destroyed half of his body, and some crazy surgeons managed to pull him back together again and make him survive. Magos Purple, Gryph-hound Orange, and Guilliman Flesh were used in tandem in order to paint up his little demon familiar that he has on his base. So I basically started by doing the scales and kind of freehanding some patterns kind of down his legs, across his back and down his spines with some orange. And then I went in with Mago's purple after that. Unfortunately, that footage is all ruined. And I did that over the actual scales on its back. And then the Gullman flesh again went all over the entire thing. So over the orange, over the purple, and over the pale skin. And that gave me a really nice base coat. Not that you can tell from this footage, that I'll be layering up later on and make it look really cool. So it was a very kind of quick and dirty job, but I think it worked a treat and he looks great. Nolan oil was then used to shade down the entire model from on the tip of his head all the way down to the rock on his base. This is going to darken all those parts down, give me a really nice kind of protected base coat for me to start layering up. I say protected base coat because contrast is not very strong. It can be kind of scratched and scuffed. It can even just rub off by your thumb. So an all over shade basically acts as a layer of protection for that kind of base coat. And it means that we can layer with a kind of impunity then. For the armor, we do Mephiston red, and I very carefully went around and layered up all of his awesome power armor, trying to get neat, sharp lines as best I could. And then after that, we would go in with Evil Sun's Scarlet. I have the air version of that here, but you can obviously use the standard version. I have the air version of a couple of paints that I like to use. They basically act like pre-thinned paints. But this one was very much controlled layer. We wanted to follow it around and follow the kind of source of light, make some of the higher armor panels pop a little bit more, and we can leave the kind of darker or under parts of the panel a little bit darker. And this does really give a nice kind of crimson look to the armor, which I think suits him down to the ground. One of the kind of dangerous things with painting Space Marines like generic colors like red is you're trying to pull them away from looking like other Space Marine chapters or legions. So obviously when you're painting the red Corsairs, you don't want the armor to look like Blood Angels. And that can be really scary to do. So like normally after this red coat, if you wanted to go the extra mile, you would then jump in with some Evil Sun Scarlet and do some like edge highlighting. I feel if I did that with their crimson armor, it would immediately just look like Blood Angels armor. I think there's enough other details on this model that I think an edge highlight is not required to make him look finished and make him look awesome. Let me know if that makes sense to you guys down in the comments below. I often wonder how people get away with stuff like that when, you know, I want to do Lamenters and I'm making sure people don't look down and think it looks like Imperial Fists or something like that, you know what I mean? Corvus Black was used for a very simple layer job on his cape and on his loincloth. The cape and loincloth were the bits where I didn't give it as much time as I should have because I genuinely didn't know where to go with it. If you look at the box art of it, it goes like a blue into a grey into a black. I did not know what they did. My previous red Corsairs, for the capes, I've gone for flayed flesh, and that looks really cool. But I've already done that on the Reaver Captain, so I decided to go for black on this guy. Keep it simple with the plan to go back later on and maybe add something else into it, but I wouldn't worry about it too much for now. Xandri Dust and Morghast Bone are the duo I've been using lately for fur and for bone. So obviously I'm going to do his big beautiful fur pelt, and then there's 2 skulls over the trophy rack that I'm going to layer up with those 2 colors as well. It's going to make them look really nice, really aged and worn and kind of gnarly. It's really enjoyable and it makes these details pop. I do like the difference in irons. If you look at the axe hilt, for instance, or the axe blade, the symbol of the red Corsairs, that big iron fist, is in the middle of the axe, but it's in that darker metal, and then the lead belcher around it. It makes the 2 of them look kind of distinct, and it looks really nice. Finally focusing on where we're at with this guy. Time to go back in with that lead belcher and with that Iron Warriors color and just re-highlight the silvers that we have dulled down with that shade. And as you can see, every time my hand moves towards the model, it goes out of focus. Doesn't matter where I hold this model. I think Huron Blackheart has got some sort of dispersion field or something, so he's not tracked or seen by the Imperium. I don't know what it is, but I've never had so much trouble keeping a model in focus before. Nothing has been as hard as this guy, and I do not know why. After we've highlighted all of these silver metallics, we are going to go in with a nice Liberator gold color and highlight up all of the kind of gold details. His shoulder trim, his little tilt shield, and then that awesome Chaos Star in the middle of his like kind of stomach armor that he has. There's also a couple of like Eldari runes and stuff on string that you can go away and highlight with that as well. Obviously the base is now done. I do all of my Space Marines with like a Martian style base, all of my Chaos Marines and all of my Loyalist Marines. And the whole purpose behind that is if I ever want to play Apocalypse games or any larger scale games where I want to put the forces together, like if I want to put my Death Guard and fight them next to my Emperor's Children and next to my Red Corsairs, they'll have a basing scheme that match. Same with my Imperial Fists, want to fight with my Black Templars, want to fight with my Flesh Tearers, all the bases match. And it's one cohesive force. Same thing I do with my Guard. All my Guard regiments all have the same basing. So if I want to put them all together, it works a treat. Okay, going in with those 3 kind of paints to highlight all of the skin. We did the same skin on Huron's face as we did on the kind of familiars underskin as well. Going in with some sharp highlights, making it pop. We did some Berserker Bloodshade just to darken down and redden up that skin. And of course on the familiar as well. This little warp creature was actually quite a lot of fun to paint. It was kind of fun and kind of free-flowing just to grab some random paints and decide on a color scheme that I liked and just go for it. There's a bunch of funny interactions in the lore about this guy. Night Lords trilogy, for instance, is a scene where the First Claw, which is the name of the squad of Night Lords, meet Huron Blackheart, and one of the Night Lords aims his bolter at the thing because he doesn't know what it is. And the sergeant has to very quickly lower the rifle down. It's like, Huron knows it's there. He knows what it is. Just don't mention it and don't stare at it and we'll never have to talk about it again. Which I think was pretty funny. Okay, I thrown off the last few bit of detail with the vials and painted the eye lenses. And we have our finished Huron Blackheart, leader of the Red Corsairs Renegade Warband. Another awesome Chaos character added to my collection. Really pleased with the final result. Hopefully the footage didn't annoy you too much and you can learn how to paint your own Huron Blackheart using this video. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. And let me know if you want to see any of the other members of this group in the comments below and I will get on it as soon as possible.